Hi, it's Pete. As promised, I'm just going to do a quick overview of the stuff we covered on the first social media session so that you can recap at any point. So the first thing to do is just to move on and remind ourselves that social media is primarily about being social. So we're going to be looking at using social media in the community, and down at the bottom there is the website that we're going to be using to support the training as we go through. This is a very brief overview of what we're going to do in the first week. We're going to look at introductions, tell each other who we are and what we're actually wanting to achieve. We're also going to look at communication methods that we're going to use as a group. We'll look at the types of social media, a few social media rules, dealing with bullies and trolls, and then accessing materials and the community. And then we're going to start getting involved where you're going to start writing your own objectives and getting started. Okay, so this is the first slide that we've actually got. And what I really want to sort of talk about here is the way that social media is now working in more ways than purely a sort of Facebook and Twitter type way. Originally we were talking about building relationships with people and sharing bits and pieces of information. Now this idea of sharing is everything inside of this half of the diagram. And many of the things that I've put up in relationship building could easily go down into the sharing category and vice versa. But what I've actually decided is that Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook and Google Hangouts are really about relationship building. Now Twitter is a fairly well known version of social media where you can actually send short messages to all of the people who follow you, and then you receive messages from all the people you're following. People can retweet or resend your messages, and you can also send direct messages. So we will have a deep look at Twitter as one of the more popular social media types over the course of this 6 weeks. LinkedIn is often described as a professional Facebook. It's where people who are in professional positions want to maintain links or do a little bit of networking, and so we've got LinkedIn. Facebook, yes, Facebook is the one that lots of people love and lots of people love to hate. There's increasing evidence that a lot of young people are moving out of the Facebook arena, but also a lot of evidence that people have got profiles that they no longer use. And again, you're going to be the better judge of that. And one of the things we'll be talking about is how you've got to occupy the space where your clients are, or the people you want to talk to are. So if they're on Facebook, that's where you're going. Now I've included Google Hangouts. I'm quite a fan of Google, and the Google Hangouts allows you to actually share conversations. It allows you to record conversations directly to YouTube. It allows you to do lots and lots of things that are very useful in terms of building communities, building arguments and building a following. It's almost like Skype, except it gives you a few more options that Skype hasn't quite got to yet. Underneath there we've then got the sharing area, and in this quadrant is where I've put things such as WordPress. WordPress is the ubiquitous blogging site. I've included Bambuser. Now we're going to play about with Bambuser. Bambuser allows us to take and broadcast live video feeds where we've got an internet connection, and we can actually embed them directly onto a website. So I could have been doing this session using Bambuser rather than using screencast technology and YouTube, which brings us nicely onto YouTube. YouTube is, again, it's a Google product. It allows you to record videos which you can then share and distribute. And the wonderful thing about YouTube, or for me, my favourite thing about YouTube is the fact that it's a great source of training materials. If you want to know how to do anything, my guess is that there is a YouTube video on there, from peeling an apple to installing an app on an Android device. Everything will be there. There we've got Snapchat. Snapchat allows us to share images. Now the thing that people like about Snapchat is that they can send an image and it doesn't occupy or waste any space on their device, because once it's sent it's removed from their device, and once it's read it's removed from the recipient's device. Now that can be problematic because it is widely used, well, I think widely used may be an exaggeration, it is used by bullies or by people who want to send nasty messages, because unless the person who's receiving that message is a little bit savvy, then there's no evidence that the message was ever sent. Now they can be tracked, and we've talked about how we can actually use the screen grab facility on a mobile phone or whatever to capture any device to make it work. And then we've got Instagram. Instagram is a great way of sharing pictures. Now over at this side of the picture I've got getting involved, and here I've got the two areas of playing and tagging. Now in tagging I've only included two. I've included Pinterest, and Pinterest allows you to have a virtual pin board where you can just sort of find something that you're interested in on the web and effectively pin it to your board, so you've got a record and you can go back and have a look. Can be great if you're planning design things, or if you're planning a new website, or indeed if you're searching through the internet and trying to find lots of different ways that people have approached issues such as acceptable use testing and things of this nature. Learnist is a similar idea, except you're recording content rather more than images and things of that nature. And Learnist allows you to gather information together around particular topics. So if, for example, you're interested in social media, then I could have actually created a Learnist board and wandered through the web looking at various ideas so that I could actually do my research and bring them into one area that I could then use. Now, increasingly a part of getting involved is people playing games online. And increasingly, as people are playing games, what we're finding is that in order for them to succeed, they really need to share information. So if you've got a game like Farmville and you're on Facebook, or in fact if you don't play Farmville and you're on Facebook, the chances are at some point somebody will ask you if they can borrow a cow. And the reason for that is that the more people they can approach and to get involved with, it will actually help them and help the other players to gain better status inside of the games. Now I've also then put it into a vertical area called chat, and the playing and relationship building is often about chatting to people, so you've actually got a relationship, a conversation going on, whereas at the bottom of the screen I've actually put this down as a publishing type exercise. Although Learnist, I suppose you're actually collating information rather than publishing, but you can publish a Learnist board and share it with other people, the same as you can share a Pinterest board. And indeed, there is now conversations that tell me that Pinterest is probably one of the most popular search engines on the planet, where people are actually using it to search for information. Below there, I've got two other bits and pieces. I've got Buffer, which is a way of actually scheduling tweets and Facebook posts and Google Plus page posts, and also Hootsuite, which again does pretty much the same thing. Both of them are very, very popular, and they allow anybody who's serious about social media to schedule their information outflow so that you don't have to be on there all the time. Now, at January 2014, We Are Social published some stats that I thought may be of interest. And as you can see, we've got a population in the country of about 63 million people. And it's estimated that 80% of those live in urban landscape, 20% in rural. Of those, 54 million are internet users. Now, I'm not quite certain what they mean by an internet user. My suspicion means that they have got access to the internet rather than they're active users of the internet, because that would only leave a fairly small proportion of people to be under the age of 11, where their use of the internet may be sporadic, or indeed over the age of 70, where statistics would suggest that older people are not as engaged as they could be. Below there we've got 36 million active Facebook users. Well, again, I'm not convinced that they are active, and would query the idea of what active means. But there are 82 million active mobile phone subscriptions. So 82 million phones, 63 million in the population. So some of you people are carrying multiple phones. Okay, the UK Internet Indicators, again from the same source, We Are Social, actually looks at the average time that internet users spend using the internet each day. And through a desktop or laptop, we're talking about over 4 hours. Mobile internet, as a percentage of a total population, 64% of people have actually got some access to mobile internet. And the average time the mobile internet users spend online is 1 hour and 32 minutes. Now, my guess is that those figures at the end there, the 4 hours 11 and 1 hour 32 minutes, are going to converge over time. Because it seems to me that from the people I'm talking to, that there's more and more tablet use and less laptop and desktop use. Ooh, I'm skipping through these all over the place. UK social media use suggests that 87% have actually got some sort of a social media platform, and 63% used it in the last month. Facebook, 79%, and 54% usage. Twitter, 44%, 24% usage. So that's about what, less than half of the people who's on Facebook are actually using it on a regular basis. Google Plus has got even worse figures. Only 10% of Google Plus users have actually used it in the last month. Now, I'm a fan of Google Plus, and we will be using Google Plus during the course of these 6 weeks, mainly because it's a great way for us to create a learning circle where we will be able to share information and pass things on to each other without it fearing that it'll get out into the big wide world. LinkedIn, 22%, 9% have used it in the last month, and Instagram, 13% of the population have got one, but an impressive 7% of usage, so that's fairly good. So, when we're working with social media and working together in a group, it's a good idea that we have some rules in the way that we actually communicate and talk to each other, especially across social media. So what I've got here is the 3 R's of social media. And the idea is that you can use these in any social media policies that you need to create, and as a foundation for the way that you would actually interact and want other people to interact with you on social media. And the 3 R's are respect the people you're talking to and the people you're talking about. Now, fairly straightforward. As my granny used to say, if you've got nothing good to say, say nothing. Responsibility. You are responsible for what you say on social media. If you've retweeted something that's nasty, you've still said it, you are still responsible for what you say. There is no escaping from your responsibility. If you are representing somebody else, then again you need to make it clear that you're representing somebody else. But again, I would bear in mind that you are still responsible. If you've been told to say something nasty, you're still responsible if you've published it onto social media. Now, the issue of cyberbullies is also something that you should be sharing with anybody who you're working with, and also something that you need to be aware of as a social media user. If someone is being bullied on their own social media profile, you should advise them to keep and save any bullying emails or images they've been sent. Now, again, we've talked about how you can capture these images on laptops and tablets and mobile phones and the thing. But they should be kept and saved. They shouldn't be gone over time and time again. They shouldn't be agonized over, but keep them in a file. Take a screenshot of any comments that are threatening, but then delete them. So once you've actually captured the emails or the images, delete them so you don't have to read them again. Make a note of the date and time and of the messages or images were sent, along with any details you have about the sender. And I would also include any suspicions you have about the sender. Now, try changing your online user ID or nickname. Again, by changing something, it may feel like running away, but there are no marks in this world for being bullied. So if you can just take yourself out of the situation, then do so. But remember to keep anything that you've actually got and report it. Do not reply to any bullying messages or get involved on any online arguments, because that is what people want. They want reactions. So if you do meet any trolls, just ignore them and then move on. Don't forget that anything you post online can be seen by anyone. So this includes your parents, your boss, or your teachers. So use your common sense and think before you publish anything on your profile. And don't forget that a nasty message sent back to a bully If it appears in isolation, will it make it appear that you're the person who's instigating these things? So again, do not get involved. Okay, now if you're working on social media for your organization, there's a few things that you need to bear in mind. How many social media accounts are already in existence? Now, if you've got a reasonable sized organization that you're working with, it could be the case that various people who've been running various projects on your behalf have already created multiple Twitter accounts, multiple Facebook pages, Google Plus pages, etc. You need to try and track down all of them and then find out who actually owns the name. If you've got a person who you've got working for your organization and they've got their personal account with your organization's name, then you have already lost control of your name. And I suggest that you talk very nicely to them and try and regain control of that name. Can you access all of these accounts that are out there? Can you control them? Do you have a social media policy? Your social media policy should actually include phrases like, you must only use a business address to create an email on our a profile on our behalf, and that we own the profile. How much does social media cost your organization? Now, I know that social media is free, but if you're going to be working on it from an organization, even if you're only spending 15 minutes a day with an average salary of about, say, 26k, that could well be £3,000 a year that social media is costing your organization. Now, what we're going to do over the course of the 6 weeks is we're going to look at the Oasis method of social media planning. And the Oasis method starts out with the objectives, where we're going to set the goals of what you would actually like to achieve. So it can be increased awareness, fundraising, campaigning, but defining your goals is a must. So use SMART objectives: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Identify your audience, who and where they are, and it would be great if you can get down to a sufficient level of detail on the audience you want to talk to, so that you actually know what colour socks they wear. The strategy: are you going to monitor and listen first, or do you want to get an active reactor, or are you going to be a creator of content? Now, there's a strategic planning tool that we'll go through, and we'll explain that a little bit later on. Implementation would be the next step, where we've chosen which tools we're going to use and how to bring your strategy to life. And then finally, the hard part is actually sustaining that strategy. Okay, we're not going to dwell on the objectives, so I'm just going to skip through the next couple of slides very quickly, because that really brings us to the end of the first session. Okay, so I hope that works as a suitable reminder to getting you involved, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers then. Bye.